because the other day I saw the class between Emily and Fortuna's students. Wow, what is that? It looks so cool. I have never seen someone do this. It's always like 2-dimension, but a Prezi presentation allows you to put photos, text before your image. And so people can see you, see the presenter, and also the information at the same time. I think it is so cool. And oh, Brian,
Hello.
say hi to Emily.
Hi, Brian. Good to see you.
Yeah, Brian is a school teacher, and he is also interested in different approaches to presentation. So
Wonderful.
thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, Emily. And now we can get started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Luke, for the introduction. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone is able to see my screen with the graphics on them.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. And if I can ask everyone to mute and put their view into content view, that will ensure that you see the presentation for the duration. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So hello, fellow teachers and observers. Thank you so much for being here today and for the opportunity to share with you a dynamic presentation tool called Prezi. My name is Emily Hogle. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an English teacher, ITA certified, and design professional with 20 plus years experience organizing information into presentations for the purpose of conveying, selling, and fostering ideas. So I know that we are alike kind. I've worked in a number of different presentation platforms, as I'm sure you all have as well. And I can attest that Prezi is perhaps the most dynamic presentation tool I have ever used to create an engaging experience with an audience, whether it's students or other design professionals or clients. And engagement is especially important as it pertains to teaching virtually. As we learn to navigate this new way of teaching, Prezi does some of the heavy lifting for us. So it helps us create an inspiring lesson and completely immerses and engages the class in a way that programs like PowerPoint can't, because as Luke said so aptly, they're two-dimensional. So if you're accustomed to PowerPoint, Prezi can take some getting used to, and it does have limitations like any program, but what it might lack in ease of use, it makes up for in engagement. So I hope that by the end of our time together, you will be inspired to give it a try for your teaching endeavors and wow your students with a whole new way of virtual learning. So with that, we're going to get started. First, we'll navigate through a Prezi presentation, and then I will take you over to the website, and we will learn to navigate the website together, learn how to put a presentation together, and then finally discover how to connect Prezi with Skype. If you can save your questions till the end, then that would be fantastic, and I'll do my best to answer every question. But if not, I'm always available to support you, so feel free to reach out. I strongly believe in mind share. So let's get started. So Prezi can do so many things for us. It can be really as easy or as layered as we like, but the predominant thing that we can do with Prezi is create. You can easily create your own Prezis by following a few simple steps. So first, all you do simply is pick a template. There's no need to create something from scratch. And while you can create and while you can create something from scratch, there really is no need to. There are thousands of beautiful templates provided in the program that are just an incredible starting point and can be very easily customized. And once you have a template selected, then you get to change it up to suit your needs. So I will show you how to do all of this in a bit, but everything in the template can be modified as you see fit for the aesthetic of your lesson what you're trying to convey, the tone, the attitude, or you can leave it alone and it can be a completely plug-and-play presentation. From there, you start to lay out your topics, and topics are like chapters in your story, or for teachers, stages in your lesson plan. So you could do something as simple as label them warm-up, intro, practice, presentation, production, or even homework, or you can get super creative. That's the beauty of Prezi. You can really layer in as much or as little information, and it will automatically be 10 times better than PowerPoint. But getting creative lets your students see what's to come. And one of the things I really like about Prezi is that the visible topics on the home screen act as a table of contents for the lesson. So particularly when we're working with students that speak another language as their native language, I feel that knowing what's to come can bring a bit of ease and empowerment to the students. They can acclimate themselves to the lesson at hand. And then from there, you add content. Your topics can have layers, and then those are called subtopics. And so you can build out your topics to have multiple stages and depth. So for example, perhaps you would like your grammar presentation to be inductive. So you can layer your topic with subtopics that adequately scaffold your presentation. Both Quentin and Bridget do a great job of this and have excellent examples of how to present grammar inductively using Prezi. Is really impressive. I have a lot to learn from you both. Right, so once we create, we get to present, right? This is my favorite part. I feel like I was born to present information. It truly is like something I just wish I could do every day. It's one of my favorite forms of communication. And so when you're in a classroom with students, right, you're in person with them, the classroom is very experiential. Everyone's there together, there's noise, it has life, there's dynamism. And then we move to this virtual world and it creates this flatness to learning that Prezi successfully reinstates. So I want to really enforce how this dynamic presentation style can really reinstate an experience for students versus just being a presentation. So it helps you maintain an interaction. It allows you to create really memorable content. And when you present in video format, as I'm doing here, you're able to maintain 100% interaction with students and the lesson at hand. So you have both visible in front of you and for everybody. And when the content moves, it creates a sensory experience, which we know that sensory experience is supportive of information retention, right? So memorable content is more easily remembered. And this is, I think, just one of the really fascinating aspects of Prezi. So while I'm showing you the video format, there are multiple ways to present information. We'll review those in detail in a bit. I really just want you to start big and then we'll zoom in so you can really understand the beauty of the presentation. And finally, it's compatible with various virtual meeting platforms, predominantly Microsoft Teams and Zoom, but it is also compatible with Skype, and we'll go over how to do that as we move through today. So now we share, right? So we've created, we've presented, and now we have the opportunity to share. There's a few interesting ways that Prezi creates mind share, and so we'll review those here. So first is that you're able to send a link to your students or to your class or to whoever you've presented to. This is a really awesome tool, and I will share a link at the end of this class so that you have access to this presentation for your use in the future. But then you can take that tool and analyze the engagement, the link rather. So you actually, if you have the pro account, are able to see what type of engagement occurred from your class. How often did they click on it? Who clicked on it? And so this is a really interesting tool that can help you have visibility on the back side of your presentation to see who made use of it in your classroom. And finally, Prezi shares with Prezi users. So there's an extensive shared library of already completed presentations that are are subject specific and incredibly inspiring. So you can use them if you want. I'll show you an example of a really great one that would just be fun plug and play learning experience for any class. And finally, this is really all about collaboration, and they leave no stone unturned as far as this goes. So you can collaborate even from a distance. For example, if I'm co-teaching with someone in another state of the US, or in a location, or you're working with another co-teacher in a location in Taiwan, you can share your presentations with one another and work on them together. So that you have a cohesive class. So now we're going to watch a video just kind of showing you in a quick snapshot how everything that we just discussed comes together, and then we'll look at it in more detail.
Introducing Prezi Design, your one-stop graphic design and data visualization tool. Create interactive and engaging reports, infographics, social media posts, and more. Just click Start from Template and choose from hundreds of templates to help you get started. Browse through a category that fits your project type and even filter by color. Once you've found a template you'd like to use, click on it to preview. Then start editing it. Let's start with a title. Just double-click a text box and start typing. Now it's time to start customizing. Everything you see can be moved around and tailored to your liking. Just click on an object and go to the Settings panel on the right to make any changes. For example, with your chart, you can change the properties, colors, fonts, add or remove a legend, include a tooltip, and adjust the data format. You can even animate your chart to be displayed in a variety of ways, like this. To add your own data, click Edit Data. All charts and maps are pre-populated with placeholder data for you to see the correct formatting. From here, you can input your own stats or even upload a file. Over on the left, you can add a variety of other objects. Choose to add text, 40 types of charts, over 800 maps, or even search our vast graphic library for icons and GIFs. Just choose what you'd like to add and drag it right onto the canvas. If you have other media, like a video or iframe, you can search for and add that content in just a few clicks too. Once you're done creating your project, it's time to download it or share it with others. To download your project, click on the Download button in the top right corner. Then select the file format, PNG, JPEG, or PDF, and hit Download. To share your project online, click on the Share button and select whether you want to keep it private or share it with everyone on the web. Simply share the link for others to see the content you've created. Now it's your turn. Step up your visualizations with Prezi Design.
Great, so you'll understand a bit more about Prezi Design in just a minute. There are multiple graphic capabilities, as I mentioned, that you can create. It isn't just this video format that I am utilizing right now to communicate with you. And so you'll get to see exactly how to do that. But it is a great accompaniment to the video experience because you can create documents or word walls or many other things that could enhance the class, posters and informative graphics and things of that nature. So I just briefly want to overview some things to consider, and we will touch on these as we move through the websites. But because of the limitations between Prezi and Skype, it's hard to kind of toggle back and forth. So I want to get through this presentation, so forgive me if it's a little bit out of order, but some things to consider are the limited real-time interaction. So for example, if you like to use whiteboarding in your classes, just know that you would have to link to a Google Jamboard or some other whiteboard website or other interactive tool in order to work with it. It's not there's not a tool in Prezi that allows you to interact in real time in the way that a whiteboard does. There is limited visibility with smaller content, and I'll show a few examples of that in a bit. But it's important to test small content and be sure it's legible, or program in a zoom feature to zoom into that, as you saw in the presentation earlier, how I zoomed into a screenshot basically. And just consider that the presentation might be viewed on small devices. So if a student is having difficulty with their computer, for example, they might hop onto a tablet and suddenly this information is going to shrink in size and is harder to read. So just things to think about. Linking to other websites and video is only possible with a pro account. So I want to point that out. If you're looking into the accounts, that's something that I've discovered the hard way. And I even have a pro account and have bumped up against some difficulty with embedding video. So I wanted to let you know about my favorite video hack, which I used for this presentation literally just 45 minutes ago because my videos weren't working. But it's called the 4K Video Downloader. And this is an application you can put on your computer that allows you to actually download YouTube videos. So then you're putting the video on your local drive. And this just helps with any compatibility challenges or, embedded video challenges that you might bump up against as you're presenting, which I discovered this evening myself. And thank goodness I had this downloader app to fall back on. So I could, rather than embed the video, I could just drop the video into the presentation. And I'll show you how to do that a bit later. And finally, compatibility with Skype. The program is most compatible with MS Teams and Zoom. There are a couple challenges with Skype, which I was able to circumnavigate here today because there's not a lot of speaking back and forth, but I'll show you in a bit what I'm talking about. And I will also show you provide you with an excellent link to the help page on Prezi's website for pairing Skype with Prezi. So it'll be the quick way for you to get that accomplished. Now we're going to watch one more video before we move on. It's a little bit longer, but it's teacher specific. And it's specifically about the use of Prezi Video. So what we're doing right here, right now. So I hope that you find it informative. I thought it was essential for you all to watch it and hear firsthand their intentions. And so with that, we'll go ahead and watch that video.
There, my name's Spencer from the Prezi Education team. I just wanted to say a big thank you and well done for all of the things that you're doing for the children at the moment. Having schools close has such a big impact. It disrupts the daily routines. You have to quickly alter curriculum and content. And that's before we even start thinking about what impact is this having on the relationships that you've built up with the children over the year. Now, this human connection is something that we spend a lot of time thinking about at Prezi and figuring out how can we help you maintain that all-important connection with the kids. And this tool that you see on the screen here with me is called Prezi Video. It's free for teachers and students. And it's this idea that when you're on video, you can keep that connection with the children, but also interact and share the content that you need to kind of give to them as well. Now with Prezi Video, you can use it for pre-recorded videos like this one that you're watching now, but you can also do this in a live environment as well. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time telling you how you can get a quick start with Prezi Video, and also to share some examples of how other teachers have been using it. So this is Rachel, and this video is her sharing important information that the kids can digest, but when they then come together in a live video, they can have a much richer and more valuable discussion.
Emily, you are muted.
Next up is Mr. Wilson. He has a video here where he's helping students focus on exactly what they need to learn in order to be prepared for the quiz. And finally, a video from Gabrielle. And she loves the fact that she can be on screen with her graphics at the same time, but also bring props into it to actually show to the kids, this is what you need to find. This is the specific piece of paper that you need to find. So again, 3 quick ways that you can also use Prezi Video. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that it's super easy and quick. You know, we understand the time pressures that you're under, and the good news with Prezi Video is you can take an existing PowerPoint or slide deck and use our import PowerPoint function and get a quick start on creating the video. You can also, if you're already using Prezi, you can use an existing Prezi and create a video, or you can use our new Quick Create, and boy is it quick. Like, you literally pick a template. We've already done the heavy lifting for you in terms of design. You then literally type in the text you want, add an image. We've even given you access to millions of images, and Prezi automatically overlays that onto this kind of graphical layer, and then you hit record and off you go. It's really designed that you can do it in 10 minutes and get a video to send to the kids. If you want to take it a stage further, then we have some advanced templates, and we've recently been putting templates in there that help you do new assignments, homework reminders, and even some fun games that you can do with the children. Again, you can see all of the tutorials, how-tos, and templates as links below. So the next thing I wanted to cover was really just to say Prezi Video also works seamlessly with your current LMS. The way that it works is you can either share a URL of your video, a bit like you do with YouTube, for example, or you can download your video and upload it into whichever LMS that you're using. So super seamless, very easy to do. And likewise, whatever video conferencing tool that you're using at the moment, and I've put some of the more popular ones up here on the screen, Prezi Video works seamlessly with those as well. So you can do this sharing of content in a live environment as well. So that's it. Just a quick tour around what Prezi Video can do, how you can get started, as well as some examples. And if you want to get started with Prezi Video and go have a look, then just go over to prezi.com/video. That's prezi.com/video. And again, it's free for teachers and students to use. So that's it from me. I just want to finish by saying a big thank you again. Keep up the amazing work that you're doing, and we're here to help you. Thanks for now.
So I know that was a little bit longer video, but it's so informative and really wonderful explanation of how to use the video tool, which is what I'm using right now. And as you can see, you can also pre-record videos and send out dynamic bits of information to your students, like, hey gang, you know, here's a homework reminder, or here are the things you need to study for your quizzes. So really fascinating. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to move away from this presentation. I'll share my screen, and I'm going to, with you, toggle through the website prezi.com. Okay, so just as a reminder, I have a pro account, which is $5 a month, and that does enable me to have the full functionality of the platform. He did mention that it's free for teachers and students, and that is true. Just know that your functionality will be slightly less than the pro account. So hacks like the 4K video downloader will be really useful tools for you. Okay, so here we go. Wonderful. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very good. Okay. Great. So here we have Prezi.com. This is my dashboard. I am logged in, and I want to just help you navigate this so that hopefully you won't have to learn things the hard way like I did when I was first getting started. So the main page is all projects, and as you can see, basically, let me make this larger. You can see all of the projects that I have created in Prezi related specifically to teaching. You can organize these projects into folders. So for example, I have templates as well as lessons. And I will just show you that the Prezi template that I shared with you, or the Prezi presentation that I shared with you, was this presentation actually. I reformatted it and turned it into a video presentation. It was not a video presentation, but that just shows you what's possible with Prezi. And so this is kind of the home page. So if we click on Prezi Present, this is the page that you see. You can see that you can start from a template or from scratch. You can even convert a PowerPoint slide into a Prezi presentation. And if I were to click on that, what I would see is this page, which is a variety of different templates to create presentations. Now you can see at the start, these presentations do not include video functionality. There's graphics across the entire presentation. But if I scroll down, you can start to see the different topics at hand. There's some really beautiful templates here. They can be reformatted to video templates, but I recommend just coming down here to video templates. And those are easily recognized by the little cartoon person on the left-hand side of the information that's being presented. And there are so many incredible tools. You will find a lot of education-specific tools in the video templates, and this is typically where I start. So you can see school to home, communication, new assignment or project, as the individual just mentioned in the video, science project, and even just smiley faces, even just some basic templates. Here's a great one for travel. I think this is definitely getting used in the near future. Okay, so that's Prezi Present. This is where I spend most of my time, is in this presentation tool. And I come straight to video. I select the template that I want, and we'll do that here in just a minute. I just want you to have a feel for how to navigate everything. Next is Prezi Design. So this platform allows you to create infographics or various other information such as designs for your videos, single slides, essentially, reports, dashboards, charts. Here you could create charts that you incorporate into your presentation. You could make use of thousands of maps that you can add interactive qualities to help with a geography-based lesson, for example, or even a travel-based lesson. And then posters, as we were discussing before. So you can use posters to help students fill out, for example, at the beginning, to get to know your students, or have remote schedules sent. So these are little graphics that you can do to sort of brand the experience that you have with your students. A little goes a long way. So, however, it's always a combination of the time, the inclination, and the ability, right? So if you have an interest in incorporating these into your classroom, that is completely possible. And then finally is Prezi Video. As we learned in that last video, not only can you do the video format that I showed you, but you can also create your own videos. So here I am in the screen, and this is what Prezi Video Create looks like. This is exactly the dashboard that we were being shown in that video, where you have the opportunity to add images into your video, start to type in text, and then you can briefly hit record. Hey students, here's this week's homework assignment, and shoot it off to your classroom to create, again, an interactive experience and a highly three-dimensional touch point. And then, as I mentioned before, the library. when you navigate down to the library, what you have are hand-picked reusable presentations by individuals who have created them. So for example, if you wanted to do a class on Earth Day, you would have the opportunity to use this presentation as is or make modifications as you see fit by simply doing a save as. I love this one, International Celebration of Ice Cream. That seems like just a really fun, informative presentation, something light just to switch it up and create some fun and interest in class. And I think the use of authentic materials would be essential. So everyone would have to go get a pint of ice cream. So now I want to show you how to create your own presentation. Again, this is where I spend most of my time personally. I haven't really dabbled in design or video, but other than clicking around, they function very much the same way. So I think if you can grasp how to create a Prezi presentation, then you will be able to grasp those very easily. So you can either click this plus icon here, or you can click Create from Template. So I'm going to do that just so you can see. And here we are back at that web page that we looked at before. I'm going to go straight down to video templates because I want to interact with my students at a very high level. And I am having a class that is all about nature. So I'm going to choose this topic. I definitely, I hope that you'll see that you can make modification to these presentations so easily that I encourage you to select your template based on the aesthetic or the topic of your presentation or your lesson, I should say, rather than whether or not it fits, because these are so modifiable or easily modified. I think that getting the right tone is really the best approach. So here you can just sort of scroll and see, I think this looks great. I'm going for it. So I'm going to use this template. Now, the first thing you probably notice when you look at this is that I'm not on the video. There's actually a stunning background, and you can keep it just like this. In fact, when I send you a link to our presentation that we viewed at the beginning of class, you will not see me in it. You will be seeing just the presentation. And it really is quite beautiful. So it stands on its own and it's already built into it to be without video. Okay, so right here, immediately, it's asking me if I want to allow camera access for Prezi Video Virtual Camera. And I'm going to say yes. And actually, because I'm in the Prezi Video app, it's not allowing me to do so. Now you can probably see me. Yes, here I am in the greenery. Okay, so this is just showing you that you can test how you look inside the presentation. It really is a fantastic presentation. But it's best to design it without your head and then you can test it. So on the left-hand side, what you have are your slides. And you can see it's already pre-populated with 3 topics. And then when you double click on each topic, you can go into the subtopic, okay? So it's really easy to navigate. And you can also click on the slides and that will help you go where you need to go as well. So it's showing you a setup that includes an image if you wanted to add an image here. So let's say I wanted to add an image of the rainforest. Let's see. I would simply type that in and oh, perfect. I found a beautiful image of the rainforest. So I'm actually going to select that and it replaced the image for me. So that is how easy, actually, does that look like a rainforest? Well, at any rate, it's a beautiful forest. And you can see how easy it was to modify that image to be something that I wanted it to be. And as the individual mentioned in our last video, there are millions upon millions of images. So I very rarely have to go searching for myself on Pinterest. I can just use what's pre-programmed. You can use these little arrows here to toggle in and out of your presentation. So I was in this topic and I just used this arrow to go straight back out. Okay, so this is a little bit about how to use these topics. Now, if you wanted to rearrange them, let's say you put the presentation together and you would prefer to have slides 4 and 5 in front of 2 and 3. Simply drag and drop the slides, and now they're reorganized. Okay. Another wonderful tool, which I am using tonight in this presentation, are presenter notes. So you can script out your entire class right here. And as long as you aren't sharing your screen, which I learned the hard way last evening in my first class using presenter notes, is that when you share your screen, people will see your notes. So that's why I asked everyone to go into content mode and mute themselves so that I would remain the presenter. But this is an amazing tool, and now that I have it open, as I scroll through the slides, I'm able to add presenter notes to every component. This is a really excellent tool, especially if you're like me and you're very particular about what you say. Next, I'll show you a little bit about the Style tab. This is one of my favorite tabs because something that I like to do is use a presentation repeatedly, and you can simply change the color. So here, if you just click on colors, you can completely modify the presentation. Now, this doesn't have a lot of movable graphics, so as you can see, I'm only modifying the leaves, but some presentations change dramatically. You also have your color palette here. So let's see. Let me show you this way. Okay. So when I click on a modifiable image, so this leaf here, I have style presets, and this shows me the color palette of the presentation. So something you should know is whatever color you change your topic to, your subtopic color will change in kind. So notice how this leaf is now gray. So this is something to note. And if I change it here, oh, just kidding. If I change it again here, back to blue, then it will change the leaf. So just a little bit about how you can modify the style of the presentation. If you don't like what you've done, just go back and hit undo until you get back to the color that you loved. Actually, I really like that color, so we'll stick with that. Now let's move on to insert. Insert is where you'll spend most of your time, predominantly inserting text, images. You can insert icons or video. You can also insert shapes, which I have used from time to time, and you'll find a reason for that. But I'll show you text. I mean, it's simply so easy. You just enter your text here, and you're done. And you can make it smaller and move it around. It's really quite simple. It also is subject to the style preset. So if you want to change the color of it, here are scheme colors that you're able to use. So this is a really wonderful tool for creating a high level of customization without a lot of thought. So I really want to point that out to you. Now, if you're inserting an image, you can choose to upload an image from your local drive, or again, as I showed you before, you can insert any image from their collection, and it just drops right in. And from there, you're able to reformat it. You can change its color to black and white if you so desire. You can change its scale, and many different things that you can do. I will say it's very easy to click in and out of subtopics, so just know that that takes a little bit of getting used to. It's very nuanced. Finally, inserting a video. So as I mentioned, with the Pro account, you have the ability to embed a YouTube video. This has proven problematic for me personally. Hopefully you can get the hang of it and make it happen for you. But I definitely recommend getting the app called 4K Video Downloader, as I mentioned before. And it's really as simple as downloading a video and selecting it. And the functionality of the video playing and everything is completely built into the presentation. We'll just hit delete on that since it'll take some time to load. Two more things I'd like to show you. These are two of my favorite tools to play around with. They take some getting used to, but I highly recommend doing it. So if you wanted to, let's see, let me do something here first. I'm going to pop an image in. So now that I have the image selected, you see these four little dots here are say add animation. You can also find them in the insert location. So let's say I wanted this image to suddenly reappear and I wanted it to be really large. It could cover my face. That's no problem. I really want to create the image of this beautiful rainforest. But I don't want it to start to be on the slide at first. So I'm going to select the fade in. And this will drag up to the slide that I'm working on. Here is the slide that I'm working on. Okay. And then if I want it to disappear again, I would select fade out. And so you can see that I've now programmed in animation to my presentation. Another thing that you could do is zoom an area. So you can take the zoom box and really tailor it to your image. As I mentioned, it is definitely very finicky. So you see how the zoom worked? It just quickly zoomed right to the image. And I'd like it to zoom once I ask the image to come into the presentation and before it fades away. So if you'd like to see how that looks, let's see here. We are going to start on this page and hit present, and now we can test it. So I'm just going to toggle with my right arrow, and there's the image. It faded in, we zoomed in, and it disappeared. Oh, see, I need to program a zoom out. So these are the things that you can really play around with. I recommend using this tool to help you kind of guide whether or not the functionality or the creative things that you're trying to do are actually working. But I hope this is helpful for you to understand what's possible. As I mentioned, it is very touchy. Now the home screen will take you right back to the beginning of the presentation. And last but not least, I would like to share with you path settings. So this helps you decide whether or not you want to continue to zoom back to the topic, back to the overview page or the home page between topics, or zoom directly to your next topic. So I recommend that you take some time to play around with these settings. You can also create the same modifications to subtopics as well. In some cases, I think it is beneficial to zoom out back to the overview, and in other cases, I find that it's better just to flow straight through. So you really want to decide what works for the flow of your lesson plan. Sometimes going back can be confusing. So now I'd just like to take a moment. First, let me make sure we've touched on everything here. I think we have. So I'd like to show you a couple of examples that illustrate a couple of the things to look out for that I mentioned. If Thank you so much, Bridget and Quentin, for sharing your presentations. First, I'll let you know when you send a link to your students, this is what they receive. And when they pop the link into a web browser, this is what it looks like. And they can simply hit present and start toggling through their lesson. So this is an excellent way for them to revisit what they learned, to also revisit their homework, and be reminded of what's expected of them for the next class. So something I wanted to show you in this presentation was just what we were talking about before with regards to limited visibility when it comes to copy and pasting graphics. So this is an example of a graphic that turned out quite small, and I know these are the types of things that you just sort of learn as you're working through. You could use the zoom capability that I just showed you to zoom into certain parts of this, and that would be a way to circumnavigate the challenge of having this large graphic. You could also break it up into smaller pieces. But that's just something I wanted to point out. When you have a full presentation and a very large graphic like this with a lot of text, it will be hard to read. And you can zoom into it, but even then it is quite small. This is another beautiful presentation that I wanted to share how links work. So this is also a great example of a presentation that can last for 2 lessons. It's very, very content heavy. It's absolutely stunning content and so beautifully put together. But it's a lesson that you could easily spread over 2 classes. But in this particular topic, there were links to a couple of word walls. So wordwall.net, that's a good resource for everybody. And from here, you can just easily click the links. So once you send this out to students, you're able to see, or they're able to revisit the third-party websites that you provided to them during the class. Okay, so these are examples of different functionalities I wanted you to be able to witness for yourself. And finally, here's a great example of cutting and pasting information into smaller bite-sized pieces. So this is highly legible, very easy to read, and you can see also does a lot of the heavy lifting for delivering the grammar points for this particular class, which is teaching students how to use phrases of agreement or disagreement in polite conversation. So really excellent use of copy paste and just an invaluable hack for Prezi. Just bear in mind that they can be difficult to read. And even though this has a lot of word content, you can see that it's quite successful. And here's that link that I'll be sharing with you in our presentation. I just wanted you to see it, that there are some very clear guidelines for how to make Skype and Prezi Video work together. We're going to go over that briefly right now, and then we'll have a couple of minutes for questions. But I just wanted you to know that if you're pairing Skype with Prezi Video, before you do anything, go to this link and follow the instructions verbatim, and you will have a successful setup. Now I'm going to switch screens here to Prezi Video. Is everyone able to see Prezi Video? Oh. Let's try that again. There we go. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great. Okay, so this is the Prezi Video app. This is a downloadable app for either a Microsoft-based system or Apple-based system. They have both versions. And when you download this app to your local drive, this is the first screen you see when you click on it. It's this purple icon on your local drive. And you have the option to create a new video, which I already showed you in the web browser. It's the same functionality here. You can import your PowerPoint as mentioned. So if you already have a slide with your homework, or you just like putting stuff together in PowerPoint because it's easy and quick and you know how to do it, you can easily import it into Prezi Video and create a video with it. So lots of really cool ways to use this as a time saver. For the purposes of presenting, what you want to click on is that last one, which is import from Prezi. And so I'm going to click on the presentation lesson 1. What do you like to do? Is everyone able to see me in the screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So the reason for this is because I have Skype and Prezi connected. So I'm just going to share my screen so that you're able to see what I'm talking about. So this is what I learned the hard way. When you share your screen with presenter notes, everyone can see them. So all the students, everyone saw my presenter notes yesterday, which is fine. Hopefully it was a helpful tool. But because with Skype, when students are talking back and forth, the challenge is when you're in content view, the speaker is the person that shows up, right? So that makes my content disappear when my student Ivy is talking, okay? So this is why when you're doing Prezi Video with Skype, it's important to share your screen, because the minute you stop talking and someone else starts, like my co-teacher or another student, I disappear and the information disappears. That's not particularly problematic, except for the fact that if a student needs to interact with the information to think through what you're asking them, and it's disappeared because there's feedback on their microphone or some other reason, then it stalls the class. So Fortuna and I figured this out together. Thank you for that. And now we simply share the screen. Something important for you to see here is that it says at the bottom, Skype connected. So before you do anything with Skype, before you start your class, you want to get on Prezi Video and make sure you are Skype connected. Again, lesson learned the hard way. If I'm moving too fast and I don't double check that, lo and behold, my content doesn't show up on the screen, and it poses a challenge. So something to keep in mind, and it's very easy to choose your camera in Skype. You simply just go to your audio video settings and Prezi Video will be chosen. If you haven't selected it in your system preferences as an approved video camera, it will not show up. But just follow the instructions that I'll provide for you in the link, and it will guide you with how to do that. So this is basically how Prezi Video functions. You simply toggle through the class, and it's really quite simple. And thanks to Quentin, I learned the great hack of copy-paste grammar points. Thank you, friend. And it's really a useful tool. You can even zoom in if you'd like, so everyone can get a good read. And as you click through, it zooms out for you. So I hope everyone can see just how functional this is. You really don't need to fuss with any of the things here. You can scroll through your presenter notes as long as you aren't sharing your screen or you don't care if anyone sees it. But I can make the graphics disappear if I so choose, or I can make myself disappear if I so choose. Okay, so a lot of capabilities here. I see that we have 5 minutes left. I'd like to stop sharing my screen and see if we might have any questions from the participants here. So if you can raise your hand, that would be a perfect way to get my attention, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Hi, Quentin. I see you have your hand raised. You want to do the honors and go first?
All right. First off, awesome presentation. Like, I know that myself and maybe some other people have used Prezi, but even with this, I've learned things and just seeing the entire kind of perspective since I just went into one thing. It's been very helpful. So thank you very much. Um, my questions, I just have two. One is for linking. Can you maybe, I don't know if you could share your screen or if it's something easy to do, just show us how we can put those live links because I've tried to add links in my Prezi, but I never can actually click them. And I'm sure it's something simple, but it's just something I haven't figured out. That's one. And then two, just when sharing your screen in Skype. So I've had a little bit of problem with the sizing and even when I share the screen, it's just not visible and the whole reason I really because of the interaction with the students, I really want to be able to share my screen and still see them, but
Yeah.
I can't get it to the point where either if I share my screen, then usually I have to go to full screen for it to be big enough to see, and then I can't see the students anymore. So I lose that capability.
One question for you. When you share your screen, are you sharing your Skype screen or Prezi Video?
So I've done a couple of things. I've tried sharing just the Prezi window, and then I've
Yeah.
also tried sharing my entire desktop or screen.
Yes. Let me show you how I typically set it up. I'm going to import a presentation and I'm going to share my screen, my entire screen with you so that you can see what I typically like to do. Bear with me 1 second while I get it set back up. It's worked out quite well, and you can tell me what you think. But you want to always present from Prezi Video, not from Skype. So even though I can see myself here, you want to share your Prezi Video window only, not your screen. So let me show you what that means. So first I will show you just sharing the Prezi window, okay? Does that look like it's full screen for you?
It does, and but the in my screen it shows you as now it's gotten bigger. Whatever you just did, it changed the size on my screen.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's good to know. We're learning together. So what I typically do now, I'll share my entire screen so you can see, and it works out well enough. Do you feel that that's big enough visibly?
I do, and
Okay.
I think maybe I was that example with the Olympic reading exercise. So I think I just need to also control the amount of content I put on my presentations. But yes, this looks good.
Yeah, so this is how I set up my screen. I make the chat go away and I set up my Skype to be as small as I can make it with large grid. And I can easily see my co-teacher and all of my students. Granted, they're small, but I still have great visibility of them, and I can even see myself, which is helpful. So I can sort of witness what's going on there. So that's kind of what I have going on in the background, and that helps me see the students and them see the presentation, so you can get it as big as you need to. So I hope that's
Awesome.
helpful.
This was great. This was very helpful. Thank you.
Good. Yes, of course. Bridget.
Hi.
Hi.
I second what Quentin said. There's so much information that I've learned that is extremely helpful. So thank you so much. And I'm excited to explore those things going forward. My one question that I had a question about sharing screens, but you answered just now. But my second question was on the Prezi website. So looking for templates. So you mentioned, being able to look through and finding something that matches. But do you know if there's a way to search for templates? Like, is there a search engine where you can write like nature templates or, food or travel, whatever it might be, that would make finding those templates easier than searching through all of them?
Yes, I believe that there is, and you can even search by color, which allows you to have the opportunity. I'm just toggling through there. Now I realize I'm not sharing my screen, so you're not seeing that happen. I'll double check and shoot you a separate note, but yes, you should absolutely be able to do that.
Okay, I figured there would be, but I have in memory of where that might be. So it's probably make things a little bit more complicated for myself, but so I thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Of course. Does anyone else have any questions? Well,
Emily,
oh yeah.
I'm really surprised at your presentation, but I have a little question. Do you mean that we have to log in the website of Prezi to finish our template or finish our PowerPoint in the website? And also, I have to download an app for Prezi Video.
Correct. Yes. So there is an application called Prezi Next that you can use to create presentations. I didn't even show that to you because quite honestly, I've had a lot of challenges with it and I find the website very easy to navigate. So yes, if you wanted to convert a PowerPoint presentation into a Prezi presentation, you would need to use the application. It is free for teachers. You just won't have necessarily all of the functionality, like for example the links that Quentin mentioned or that I showed you from Bridget's presentation will not be accessible, but it's still very easy to, if you're sharing your screen or your window, to just switch your window to the web browser. I've done that before. I had a Pro and that's very easy to do. And then the app is essential for presenting in video, so you would need to download that as well.
So when you are having the online class showing your presentation, you have to click the file in Prezi Video.
Correct. That's exactly right. So Skype is really the virtual platform that allows us to interact, and Prezi Video, it allows the overlay of the information, if that makes sense.
Oh, I got it. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Very good. Everyone, thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you. I see we've gone a few minutes over, so I don't want to take more of your time. But thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Bridget and Quentin, next week, same time, we will explore how Microsoft Teams work with Prezi, because we are thinking about maybe transfer into Google, not Google Classroom, but Microsoft Teams in the future. Just a possibility. So we want to explore it. And so next week, the same time, we will invite Emily to give us more information about how it works. Okay. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.